The topic of lost media has been a cause for interest ever since such a concept was conceived. For those unaware, these are items which are meant to be viewed but somehow went missing through accidental misplacement or is destroyed due to manual intervention. Today, we will be taking a look at several of the most disturbing lost medias. The suicide tape of Christine Chibok. Christine Chibok was an anchorwoman working at the WTOG and WXLT TV television station. What people didn't know was that her mental health was deteriorating before everyone's very eyes. Her family was fully aware of her situation, as she was advised by her parents to see a psychiatrist. These sessions shed light on her dissatisfaction for her unfulfilled love life. As you can see, she is what we could refer today as an incel. She was still a virgin at 29 years old and had trouble getting dates with guys. This stems from the fact that she had crippling social anxiety, as the few relationships she did have with men never developed into anything romantic. This may have been due to how she was raised. She attended the Laurel School for Girls, which attributed to the lack of social interaction with the opposite gender. With the few opportunities she was presented with, she had no luck attracting or maintaining any type of relationship with guys. In later years, she created the Dateless Wonder Club in her school for the girls who also did not have any luck finding boyfriends. Self-deprivation became her coping mechanism, as she joked about herself being worthless. But as the years passed and with no luck finding love, this eventually led to severe depression. During her employment at the TV station, Christine tried to get the attention of a co-worker named George by baking him a cake for his birthday. Her attempts were foiled as George was already in a relationship with another co-worker named Andrea. In truth, she didn't have many friends either, as many people were reported to be outputted by her constant need to criticize herself. Whenever any appraisal or words of fondness were issued her way, she would try her best to deflect them, which, as you know, is usually not the best way to bond with people. In fact, people are more likely to alienate themselves as their appraisals are met with denial. Christine's co-workers were reported to have tried to include her in events, but her attitude was always a mood killer. She made inappropriate jokes, such as bringing a gun to the recording studio and making fun of how she was going to kill herself on live television. Her condition was not known by anyone in her workplace, as she feared that she would be fired if it were to be found out. What everyone did not expect was that joke that she once made was about to become a reality. On the morning of July 15th, 1974, Christine asked to read a newscast at the start of the Sun Coast Digest. As she was reporting on a local shooting, she proceeded to say the words, "In keeping with the WXLT practice of presenting the most immediate and complete reports of local blood and gut news, TV40 presents what is believed to be a television first, in living color, and exclusive coverage of an attempted suicide." Those would be her last words as she pulled out a revolver from underneath the desk and shot herself behind the ear. Ambulance were called to the scene, but she was pronounced dead shortly after. This was the first ever live broadcast of a suicide, and the viewers were left stunned at home. The recordings of the event exist, but only in the hands of Robert Nelson, the owner of the news station. At the moment, it is not known if anyone else has the recording in possession, let alone have viewed its contents since its on-air broadcast. The videotape was given to a law firm in 2016 and is kept safe from public viewings. The only part of the recording that was leaked is this audio clip.
Statistics. This weekend, being typical of the recent rash of violence, saw one man stabbed, another assaulted, and a third shot and wounded. Sarasota police report the finding of an 18-year-old, a man by the name of David Wynn, in the parking lot of a Friendly Tavern on 27th Street. Wynn had an apparent stab wound in the chest, which, according to witnesses, was inflicted by James Whitworth during a fight. Police charged Whitworth with aggravated assault. Wynn is in satisfactory condition at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. The second attempted armed robbery in a week has involved law enforcement officers from both Sarasota and Manatee counties. Last week, teenage gunmen held up the highway bar and, after a shootout and high-speed automobile chase, held a family hostage and finally were nabbed by Sarasota Sheriff's deputies. Early Sunday morning, the Beef and Bottle restaurant north of Sarasota Bradenton Airport on US 41 was the site of an attempted armed robbery and shooting. TV40 newsman Bob Peterson was on the scene shortly after it began, and he filed this report. sorry. For those of you who saw Late Night Weekend News Watch last night, we did have a film report and a commentary by Bob Peterson. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties and cannot bring it to you now. However, News Watch tonight at 5:30, and we'll have that story for you then. As of this morning, Grace Foster, who was shot in that incident, is in satisfactory condition at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. In keeping with the WXLT practice of presenting the most immediate and complete reports of local blood and guts news, TV40 presents what is believed to be a television first. In living color, exclusive coverage of an attempted suicide.
Morbidly curious individuals have since been trying to find another copy of the recording, but none has yet surfaced. Perhaps one day, we will eventually find the recording of her suicide, eliminating its lost media title. The Steve Irwin death tape. Steve Irwin was a famous television star who had a fascination with wildlife. He grew up in a family where his father was a wildlife expert and mother who was a wildlife rehabilitator. Together, they opened a reptile and fauna park. With these aiding Steve's interest, his father taught him how to handle and wrestle crocodiles. This habit followed through later in life. Even in marriage, he met Terry Raines, a woman who shared the similar interest with connecting with wildlife, and they spent their honeymoon recording themselves hunting for wild reptiles. These footage would be later used as the first episode of the hit television show, The Crocodile Hunter. This would later be a staple on Animal Planet, and have many spin-offs such as Croc Files, Croc Hunter Diaries, and the annual event known as Croc Week, with Steve Irwin as host. Just at the height of Steve's career, during a filming session for a documentary at the Great Barrier Reef, the filming crew found an 8-foot wide stingray which was going to be the target for their next operation. As Steve swam next to the creature, it unexpectedly jabbed its stinger into the chest of Steve, delivering a toxic venom straight towards his heart. Steve was pronounced dead later that day, on September 4th, 2006. The whole incident was captured on film and was handed to the police for investigation. In 2007, all copies of the tape were destroyed except for one that was given to Steve's widow, Terry, which was definitely an odd choice to do in the first place. Terry destroyed the copy without even a glance at its content. In later interviews, Terry stated that there may have been another copy placed in storage somewhere in a police station, but until then, there are no known copies of the tape that exists. Terry also stated that Steve wanted his death caught on tape as to one last gig to shock the viewers, but she was devastated when the event occurred and had no interest in publicizing it. The two children of Steve, Bindi and Robert, both continue on his legacy as they have hosted their own shows on Animal Planet. Owen Hart's death tape. Owen Hart was a professional wrestler that participated in the WWF. On May 23, 1999, during the recording of the series Over the Edge, Owen can be seen in his blue blazer persona against the contestant, Godfather. His entrance to the scene was one that was quite dangerous. It involved him being lowered into the ring with a harness. For comedical effect, the hook that was connecting Owen to the harness was easily openable, and the plan was to have him unlock himself, which would lead him dropping face first onto the stage for a belly flop. However, the harness and hook that secured him came undone prematurely, which sent him falling 24 meters onto the rope tops and hitting the ground below him. This injury was enough to kill him, as he was later pronounced dead in the hospital due to internal bleeding from the blunt force trauma. The series was not recorded live, so the section of Owen's injury was not broadcasted, but there was a recorded announcement by the two announcers, Jerry Lauer and Jim Ross, about the news of Owen's death.
We've got a fantastic broadcast for you here tonight on Raw. But as many of you know, unfortunately, just a little over a week ago at Over the Edge, our friend Owen Hart died tragically in an accident in Kansas City. And earlier today, funeral services were held for Owen Hart in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
The tape of the whole incident has since been kept in WWE archives in Stamford, Connecticut, with the instructions never to destroy, view, or duplicate. But that just sounds like an invite for anyone who stumbles upon the media. Live viewers of the show will remember that fateful day. One person recalled that Owen's body folded like an accordion upon impact with the ground. The contents of the tape will most likely never be viewed unless someone goes into the archives, steals it, and publicizes it. Lost media are some of the most interesting things around the world. Their backstories and their potential whereabouts are still up for debate. Perhaps with time and more interest, many of these lost medias will once be discovered again. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you again in the next video.